That's to sync
the mic up. Yep,
exactly.
1, 2, 3.
You'll know with being a professional YouTuber.
No, I'm professional. Yeah, all the way through.
All the way. Cool. Ready to go. Cool. Welcome back to the Start, Build and Grow podcast with Archie MacRae, owner of Nightingweb. This is a show where we talk with real business owners and creators here in the north of Scotland about what it actually takes to build something from nothing. Today I'm joined by Drew Scott, behind the Cobalt Chronicles, a new self-published fantasy series that's starting to gain attention. We'll talk about what it takes to take an idea from your head to a printed book, how Drew balanced writing with a full-time job, and what he's learned so far about building something creative that he still has to sell and make money from. Drew, thank you for...
No, thank you for having me, Archie. Thank you.
100%. That's that awkward thing where I just don't know what to say after that.
We got through it. We're on the other side of that now. We're good.
Yeah, fair. Okay, let's get straight in. So I'm actually going to ask something different to start with today. You've been my first male guest so far, and the rule is never ask a lady her age. So Drew, how old are you?
Ooh, straight in with the hard-hitting questions, Archie. 28.
28. So that's quite young to be self-publishing a book.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking a lot of sort of self-published. You've tried the route into publishers and things like that, and that's taken a few years. I kind of just didn't, so I knew how I wanted to go about it from the start. So
yeah, that's fair. So, what first pushed you to sit down and actually start writing this book, the Cobalt? Is it, how do you say it? Cobalt Chronicles.
And what sort of started me off, I suppose, was it's been in my head a long time. It's been in my head a very, very long time. There have been chapters that floated here and there where I was like, I'm going to try writing out this scene, that scene. And then I work at my, as you said earlier, full-time job. I work with someone who has also published a book back at home. He's not from the UK, so he's published in his own language. He published at home. And he was kind of saying, I just started writing. And I just thought, well, it's been in my head. Why am I sitting here with it just doing nothing? So I bought a website that wasn't from Nightingweb. Sorry. I bought a website initially, and I wrote chapter by chapter, just getting it out there. And then I thought, well, this is out. It's out there with, some friends. Why don't I just push that a bit further? And the rest is on the table over there.
How many pages? 500 almost?
Yeah, nearly 500. You're 465.
465. That's a long book.
It's a long book, and it's weirdly tall. I think if it was normal like novel size, it would be over 500. But the way it's published, they make you go US novel size, and everything's bigger in the US.
Yeah.
So bigger book.
Of course. Yeah. I guess you've kind of just answered my next question, which is, was there a moment or idea that sparked a story, or is it something you've been building up for years? And you kind of said there that you've been building it over time.
I've been building it over time. The initial moment that sparked it, though, I can remember vividly. I remember the Cobalt, the siblings, the two siblings that are sort of the main two characters, popped into my head, and a fight scene that is in this first book that has been heavily revised since its original version popped into my head in a writing class in S5 writing. Yeah, like S5 English. They just gave us this, I can't remember what it was. The task was something along the lines of write tension. Like they were trying to get us to write tension into scenes. And I invented these two characters. I invented the villain of that scene. Everything else of that is now completely changed. But those three characters, it was like, I could do something with these. And I kept them. And
so you've kept that since S5, what would you been, 18, 17?
Yeah, it's been about 12 years. I was 16.
12 years that you've had that idea.
And
now it's printed.
Yeah, it's printed. So if you look at it, it was S5, invent the characters. S6, I had all my school books, and there's gonna be people who are upset with me for admitting this. I had an unconditional to uni. But from about halfway through S6, so I just went, I don't need to pay attention to the rest of these classes. My brain immediately turned off. My S6 results completely reflect that. So what I started carrying around with me was I had a little notebook that I then detailed out a lot of the plot of what would become this through various changes because I was 17 and it was very influenced by the fact I was watching Game of Thrones and it was dark and it was edgy and half of that has changed. But started plotting it out, kept this little notebook with me. I still have that little notebook. And it's been years of going, all right, cross that bit out and change it to this or do that sort of thing. And then when it came time to write that, go back to that notebook and go, okay, these like 3 bullet points are all that remains of the original. But let's keep going.
Let's keep going. Yeah. So I guess if you've been having this idea since S5, you would have. Did you always see yourself as a writer, or is it something that's almost like surprised you?
I've always loved writing. Going even further back, my primary 5 teacher is she's credited in the front of the book actually as the person
Angela
who gave me the push. Yeah, Angela. I'll save her the embarrassment of dropping the last name as well, but Angela in the front of the book there. She literally let me sit at the back of class, and I was a kid playing Halo, and I spent my childhood in my front garden running up and down with my friends reenacting scenes of like Star Wars lightsaber fights and scenes from Lord of the Rings. And she let me sit and just write little things. As long as I did my schoolwork first, I could write stuff. And from there, it just spitballed. It just kept going. It just spitballed, snowballed. I've written a book. It just kept going. It just kept going and going and going until eventually, it sort of burst out as like this thing of, oh, I can write and I can do this. There was always a point in the back of your head where you went, I could do this and I could do this. But I don't know, I kind of slipped into the traditional thing of you should go to uni and you should go do this and you should get a proper career. There's always that thing about the creative side of things not necessarily being seen as the career path.
Of course, yeah.
Like
even what I do in web design, it's still creative to a degree.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially what I done before this with videography. I mean, I don't know if you've listened to any of my other podcasts, but I didn't actually go to high school because I was excluded from primary school and I never made it that far. So I don't have any qualifications or anything.
So you've built it.
I built it all from nothing,
brilliant.
pretty much. Yeah,
That's brilliant. So you know yourself then that it's that thing of if you're working on something creative, there's always that thing of, okay, but what happens when that doesn't work?
Yeah.
And I think I won't say I'll let that get to me because I'm not going to say that, I've chosen one over the other. I'm doing both. But eventually I just kind of went, yeah, no, I can do this anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What made you decide to publish it instead of just keeping it as a passion project? Keeping
it on the website, it was this thing of my. I'm very lucky that my mother's cousin has published books, which is the Barney Thompson series. Douglas Lindsay, check it out. And he had always sort of been the guy that I went to and sort of looked to, and encouraged me to follow that in many ways. And I think when I was writing it on the website, I kind of knew. I was like, okay, I've gotten this far. I want to push that little bit further. So I started to look down the self-publishing route, various different routes to go with. Landed on Amazon and the way I ended up going, because that's what he did. So it was very much this thing of going, yeah, okay, I can self-publish this. Yeah,
we're going to get on to talking about how you actually went down the route of self-publishing in a moment. But before that, I just wanted to say there's a big difference between wanting to write a book and actually finishing one. Most people never cross that line. So what made you push through that, I guess?
Stubbornness. Very much a thing of going, I think in my own head, when I started the story, I'm looking at the scenes that are later in the series and I'm going, I want to get to that. And I want to see how people react when I get to those scenes that are enjoying the book. And so if you have to get to those, you have to get through the early bits. So that's very much where I was going with that, which is just on this earlier section of going, if I can get through one, I get to two. If I can get to two, I can get to the next bit and keep going.
So on the topic of self-publishing, I appreciate you said it was your cousin who wrote
Mum's cousin.
Mum's cousin.
Mum's cousin.
And he done the self-publishing route through Amazon. So is that what made you self-publish instead of waiting on, for example, a traditional publisher?
A bit. The other side of the coin is, especially in the genre I've gone for, which is fantasy, there's so much. There's so much, and you have to do so much to stand out from the crowd in English written fantasy. I've got a friend, as I mentioned earlier, published in his own language, and he's a fantasy author, and he went in because they go straight for it if it's in that particular language. But with English publishing, there's so much to fight over, and I could be sitting there for months, years of people going, it's good, but it's not what we're looking for, and just kind of kicking me back. And I was going, I don't want it to necessarily be everywhere. I want people, I'm writing it for people I care about in many ways. And so self-publishing on Amazon made sense. You've got Kindle, you have their printing services and things like that. So I was just like,
do you have it as an audiobook?
Not yet.
Not yet. Working
on that. Got a fair few good friends who are keen on acting out voices, shall we say. They're my D&D group. As if I couldn't push being a nerd more. They're my Dungeons and Dragons group. They obviously, we do voices all the time. We do stuff all the time. So because the way this is written is different characters, we're looking down the idea of maybe doing a different person to read each character's chapters. And some of those might be my friends, and some of those I might have to go outside of that for and get some voice actors in, because getting voices that fit and things like that.
Yeah.
But we're working on it.
I think it's a really good idea, though, having different voices for each thing.
There's a fantastic audiobook that it's a series I really love anyway, which is the Six of Crows series by Lee Bardugo. And their audiobooks, they're very much written by the same sort of style as I do, where it's a character per chapter that you have as your point of view. And they did that. And so when I listened to that audiobook, I was like, yeah, that works.
That's what you want.
That works perfectly for me.
Cool. So again, still on the topic of Amazon, how did you find the process of self-publishing? Is there any surprises or mistakes that you'd warn, if there's someone listening to this podcast right now, warn them about?
It's very easy. It's very, very easy, actually, with Amazon. They couldn't make it easier in many ways. The only thing is, and you kind of know because you're working with Amazon, that you're going to get this point where you can't put it on a shop shelf quite so easily. Amazon holds your ISBN, International Standard Book Number. It's the thing that goes on the barcode, identifies what your book is. And Amazon hold that, so they can say whether or not it goes to shops and things like that.
So they've got quite a lot of control.
They've got a lot of control over it. For me, it was very convenient because you have to buy an ISBN, and you have to buy an ISBN for an ebook. You have to buy an ISBN for a paperback. You have to buy an ISBN for a hardback, even if it's the same book. You gotta get 3 of them, and they're quite expensive at a pop. Amazon, if you're happy to let Amazon do it, and like I said, because I was just writing for my friends, it wasn't necessarily a big worry that, oh no, it's not going to be on Waterstone's shelves.
Yeah.
When there was that, it was like, yeah, I can just go. Okay, I can let Amazon do it, and they'll pay for it, and I don't have to worry.
So it was just an easier process.
It was an easier process. It was good. I mean, that was another one where I spoke to Douglas, Mum's cousin, and there were 2 sort of front running. There was Ingram Spark, which is the classic one of if you want to self-publish and you want to get it on a shop shelf, you go through Ingram Spark. And there was Amazon. And he said, I've got a friend who does Ingram Spark, and I do Amazon. And he said, if you want it printed and you want it on shop shelves all the time, fantastic, go with Ingram Spark, but it's more expensive. You do a lot of stuff, whereas Amazon does a lot of marketing and things like that for you. So he went with Amazon, and I sort of sat there and I thought, I've got more happening in my life right now that I can't necessarily spend a lot of time then also working with Ingram Spark to market the thing and all this sort of stuff. So I'm going to go down Amazon's route. So many of my friends and family members use Kindle, and Amazon just opens the door to Kindle straight away. So that was very easy for me to choose.
In terms of writing the book, do you handle all the editing yourself? So like, how did you make sure there's not like, I'd be scared if I was writing a book that there'd be like a million typos or I'd miss a really important part out.
So final edit did go through me when I was right before putting it into this form. Essentially, I sat probably for about, when you put it all together, 2 days, reading every single chapter, every single word like it was the first time I've read it, and
Wow.
that was a nightmare because you're trying to not think about, like, you're going, does this sentence make sense or does this work? Because obviously when you know the whole story, that's like, you can kind of go, oh, this makes sense in this context, but without that, if you try and take that away,
Yeah.
no. So final edit went through me, but I have to call out that I have so many very, very faithful friends who worked from that original website, or now they get emails whenever I write new chapters. They get the document and they scroll through that and they say, this makes sense, this doesn't work, this is spelt wrong, you might need this word here, things like that.
Yeah. So how long did it take you from first idea? I know you kind of answered this with S5, but first idea to holding the book in your hand. Or say when you first started writing.
Yeah,
the book,
let's go from first writing, because we know at S5 12 years, but from putting it down, first words on a page. And again, like I said, I did individual chapters, but like the full writing was June 2024. Finished writing book 1 in November 2024. So that was about 5 months, roughly. And then I had a lot of like the editing work and other behind the scenes stuff. So 1.5 roughly, because I got it at the beginning of October. Was when I
a year and a half to write a 500-page book.
A year and a half to write. To write technically 2 of them, because I've written the second one.
You've written the second one already?
I've written the second one already.
How many pages is that?
Don't know yet, because I haven't got it in this format yet. Formatting and things like that still needs to go through Amazon.
Makes sense. So you're going Amazon again? You're just
yeah. They are now set up to actually run the series, essentially. When you set up with them, you can say this book is part of a series. You tell it how many books are in the series, and it allots that space for you.
Yeah.
So I've said, yeah, this is a series. So yeah, 1.5 years technically to write 2, but to fully get 1 ready was about 1.5 years.
Yeah. You're probably going to hate me for asking you this.
Go on.
But did you use any AI tools for your text or even for your cover art?
Never for my text at all. I wouldn't let an AI anywhere near it. The only thing I've done with any AI is feed it a character description and see what image it kicks out, to see if the character description matches the image I have in my head.
To see if your descriptive writing is good enough.
Yes, so that
That's
when a reader picks it up, they're picturing the same sort of thing that I would like them to picture.
That is a really smart way of doing it.
So that worked quite well, but I would never put that anywhere near the book. And the cover art, absolutely not. I have a fantastic a friend of mine, Neve, who on Instagram is Doodle Me Sane. She does a lot of tattoo artist work and things like that. And I fed her literally a description. I said I wanted a color, and I said I wanted the description of the 2 cats, which is something from the book. I will not spoil. But that you can find in the book. I fed her the description, and she fed me back that in a couple of months, and it was brilliant. It was better than anything I could have pictured for it. And Neve will be doing, the series ones in future.
I appreciate you said, obviously, it's a creative business that you're in. Was there a moment that you realized that it wasn't just a creative project anymore, and that it could actually, become a business, a full-time business at that?
I think sitting here was possibly or at least in the run up to that, I think it's been the last month has been a whirlwind, really, because it was the 5th of October that it came out. And that's when I also started to do the whole, make a business Facebook page where it was Drew Scott Author, and get author photography done and things like that. And all this sort of stuff happened in the last couple of months. And that was when I suddenly went from, I'm just putting this out on a website, and I'll put out a physical one, to going, oh yeah, I'm putting out a physical one, and that needs to be something. Like I need to I am then an author. So yeah, about 2 months ago is probably when I realized that I need to take this seriously.
Yeah.
So it's still a new game for me.
Yeah.
At this point.
New game. On the topic of it being a new game, I think we should talk about marketing and how you plan to grow.
Yep.
The book. So obviously your book is quite new to the market. When was it came out?
5th of October.
5th of October. That's really new, actually.
That's really new. So it's only about a month old.
How are you planning to get people to discover it?
The big one, and the great thing about Amazon is you can sign up to KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing, which is the Kindle Unlimited program. It's something that Amazon Prime subscribers get, and you can get it separately as well. But basically, there's a whole bunch of books that are then free to you. If you've got Kindle Unlimited, you're then free. The authors then are, I believe, compensated by number of pages turned, so the number of times people will pick up the book and read it. But Amazon then really pushes the books forward. So that was a checkbox. That was literally a checkbox when I was going through the whole thing of going, would you like to do this? Yeah, thanks. So Kindle Unlimited's my big marketer at the moment because Amazon push it so hard. And when you've got Amazon backing something, that's pretty big. Aside from that,
100%.
I'm finding in the local area, it's word of mouth that's saving me, 100%. There are so many friends, family, things that picked up the book that then went, oh no, this is good. And they started to give it to others as gifts, even just recently. There's been a lot of people who've gotten it as gifts. So just that sort of, it's a slower spread, but the word of mouth and then internationally and then wider spread, it's definitely this Kindle Unlimited.
I think that's really funny that you've said that, Drew, because a lot of the people that I interview on the podcast are running maybe service businesses or consultancies like I've had on previously. And they always talk about Murray being a word of mouth sort of area in terms of business. So I think that's really funny that you're writing a book and that is also being sold through word of mouth.
Yeah. It is a trickier one to market as well in the form of Amazon. Because if I want copies, I can order what are author copies, and right across the middle, right across the two cats and all that sort of stuff, it says not for resale, like smacked across the middle. It's an author copy, so I can check the printing's okay and that sort of stuff, and I get that. But if I want a copy, and if I wanted to do like a signing or anything like that, I'd need to buy full price, like, you know, my own thing and put it on a table, and then I can do it. I can you know, actually go through that process. But it does make it trickier to go to like an event with it.
So I guess there are kind of pros and cons.
There's definitely cons. If you're thinking if you're wanting to become an author and you're wanting to go down that route, and you're thinking I want to be the guy that sits in Waterstones with a pile of my books and signs them and hands them to people and all this sort of stuff, you can do it through Amazon. It's going to be a little bit more work, and it won't be Waterstones. It'll be a coffee shop or a town library or something like that, because Waterstones won't do it unless you're making them money. But
yeah, that makes sense. You've actually again answered my next question, which is, are you going to do any local launches, signings or collaborations with local shops? But I guess not for now.
Am I not? That's hard to say at the moment. It's harder to do, but there are a few places that are very, very keen to have local authors do it. So it's a question of, I think, maybe getting a hold of 25 or so copies and doing a few of those, not going mad with it where you see, like, you know, it's in films and stuff, but you see like the author's got the stacks, you know, either side of them. And I would never go that far, but I'll never say never on that, because there's always going to be something that kind of, that's what have surprised me about this route. You think a door's closed. So often you think a door's closed on this route, and it's not closed. It's ajar. You can get a foot in it somehow, and I'll never say never on signings.
Never say never.
Yeah.
What's been the most effective way you found to reach readers? Would you say it's been the word of mouth?
That's been the word of mouth.
That's
been the word of mouth. It's been I don't know if you class Facebook's social media, I suppose, but because I go through my friends a lot of the time. It's been going onto Facebook, going, here's a post about my book. And then from there, that was the spark that lit a fire. You know, you just go, here's this. And then people go, yep, I've picked up my copy. I've bought a couple of copies for my friends because I really enjoyed it. I got a text from a really, really good friend of ours, family friend, been a friend since I was a kid, who, when I was up all night reading this, I want to know what happened to XYZ character. I want to know, you know. And she actually turned around and went, I noticed something here. Did this character just do this? And I was like, I didn't actually call attention to that because it's relevant to later. You know, it was nice to see that people aren't just reading it to be nice. And then from there, that word of mouth just absolutely guides it.
That is amazing. That must feel great though, like seeing messages of people saying they actually really enjoy your book.
It is amazing. To any time I get one of those messages, it's cliche, but like that genuinely like fills my heart a little bit that people are really enjoying it. That it's not just something I've put in my head and thrown out and then watched sort of flop. It's doing something and people are enjoying it. So yeah,
it's ideas like that make the world go round. At the end of the day, really.
Yeah.
Do you see your writing as something you want to go into full time eventually? I appreciate you have a full time job just now.
Yes, I do. God, I'd love it. But see, once this is done, I'm not sure that I have another. I've got ideas, but do I have like tons and tons of future like plot lines and things like that? No. Do I think my wife would kill me? Yes. So I'm going to say no, but I'm also going to say never say never again. I'm going to say like probably not.
Fair enough.
I'd love to, but
you never know where it might
takes you.
As you say, never say never.
Yeah.
Again, you've answered my next question, which is what's the long-term vision for the book? Is it a trilogy, a full universe, or even film-level ambitions?
So this one is spring. I've written summer, autumn I'm writing, and winter's to come. So there's 4 in the main series. Man, do I like. You've all got those dreams, those pipe dreams that will never ever hit reality unless something amazing happens. Of like, would I see this as a film? Would this ever come to fruition? I'd love for it to happen. My ambition with the book is people pick it up and enjoy it. That's about as far as I've gone with it. I'd love to keep digging into the world that's been built around it at some point. I need to work out what stories I can tell in it and how I would go down that route. But for now, it's the 4. That's very solidly, in there.
Would you want it to become films? Is that a dream? Is that a thought?
So that's a friend of mine, proofreader, and I have bounced like, who would be the ideal casting for this character? So much off ourselves and off each other. And that's fun. That's just getting a vibe for the characters a little bit and that sort of stuff. But to be honest, a film would be amazing. And sometimes I think that, if we're talking utter pipe dream, sometimes I think fantasy works better with animation. And so sometimes I think animation might be a nice thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if we're talking total pipe dream, I'd love for it to just take off and be one of these global, like, these things that you see, Netflix does The Witcher, you've got Lord of the Rings, you've got all these sorts of things. Would I love the Cobalt Chronicles to stand up there with them? Yes. Do I think it'll ever do it? No.
I think it could potentially. You've launched it in 5th of October.
5th of October.
5th of October, and you've already had people messaging you saying how good it was and how they're really enjoying the plot twist and the story. And then, on the same hand, you're getting word of mouth. So, really, if you can just get the book into the hands of
the right person,
the right people, with the right network who are going to hand it out.
And that's, again, I think there's going to be a common theme throughout this episode, which is the never say never. Because I mentioned my mum's cousin, and there is a film of the first of his books because it ended up in the hands of Robert Carlyle, the actor,
Mm-hmm.
and he took it. He bought the rights to it as a film. He ran with it. He made it a film. All that sort of stuff. If it ends up in someone's hands, God knows what could happen. Fingers crossed. But yeah, it's still a pipe dream.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's been a month and however many days, and it's already on a podcast. So
It's true. It's very
where
true.
could it be in a year? And you know?
Yeah, and of course, we're on the top end of the podcasts. We're up there. We'll make it so far with this.
For sure. So you've got a full-time job. You're
Yeah.
writing a full book series. How do you balance it without burning out?
I'm very lucky in that my job does not come home with me. That's point one. You've got so many people who go to work and they do their 9 to 5, and then they come home, they got a laptop, and they're not done. And I see that a lot in friends and family. And I'm very lucky that I don't. And I'm very lucky that I also have a drive from work to home in which I can stick some music on, I can decompress and things like that. And sometimes I'll need a little bit of extra time when I get home and all that sort of stuff. But I've gotten used to it anyway, because throughout my uni time, I had uni, and then I had at one point up to 4, D&D groups a week that I was either part of or I was running. So even then, I was writing something. I wasn't necessarily writing a book, but I was writing, okay, well, what happens when these characters meet this and all that sort of stuff. So I got used to this moment of going, okay, I need to get this done and things like that. Do I balance it? Good question. It happens. They happen alongside one another, absolutely at the same time, where you can kind of go, yep, okay, I've got a good solid balance on what the book's going to be, what I need to write, and then you sit down and you go, I can't write today. I like, there are days when your brain just goes, shuts off, and doesn't let you sort of get the right words down.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's almost like a creative kind of burnout, almost.
I hate the word burnout.
Yeah.
Because burnout, I hate it for creative. Creative burnout is not, in my experience, what's happened. Creative burnout would suggest you burnt the candle too long. And if you're passionate about a project, maybe you can like wear yourself down, but you shouldn't, like, you never stop. But you do need to take breaks, and you do need to step back from a project and reassess. You just need to never let that be the norm. You need to never let that become the thing of, oh, I can't sit there and stop. If I'm stuck on a chapter, I tend to bullet point out what I need to happen in that chapter, and then I can come back and I can tackle it bit by bit. You have to find a way to balance that. But that's writing advice. That's less like the whole work life. I've got very, very supportive family. I've got very, very supportive friends. That's the be all and end all of that. Where if I turn around and say, okay, I need to write tonight, actually what that is code for is leave me alone. I need to shut myself away. And some nights I'll say, no, I'm not going to write tonight. And you just have to find what schedule works for you. And like I say, very, very lucky in my job that I can do that.
Yeah. Again, you've answered my next question, which is sort of what does your writing routine look like? You have kind of answered that.
I've kind of answered that. What does my writing routine? Ideally, it's a chapter every time I sit down. How often do I sit down? That will vary week to week what's going on in my life. But ideally, it's a chapter every time I sit down.
How long are you sitting down for?
I would say I would usually sit down from about 7:30 until 10:30.
You finish a whole chapter?
Rarely. If ideally that would be what it is. But what it actually is probably half a chapter or a conversation or a fight scene or something like that. You get the end of a scene and you stop. But there is a fantastic quote that I've always loved when it comes to writing, which is Terry Pratchett, one of my writing heroes, absolutely. A man who prolifically published like books throughout his life. There was so many books in his series, and he used to say, "I just get like, if I do 100 words a day, that's 100 words more than I had yesterday." And so
That's true.
I try not to judge it on how much I get down, as long as I get something down. If I sit down and I say I want to write, unless burnout, I almost used my own word that I dislike, unless that cognitive sort of disconnect hits me, I will get something down on the page.
Yeah.
So,
was there ever a point you thought about quitting?
not since starting. Not since actually starting book 1 properly. There was a point where I thought this might not work, which was a different kind of thought. And that was just, I was kind of going, I need people to read this. And that's before I kind of had built up these friends and family that would support. And I was going, I need people to read this. I need people to do that. And everyone, for various reasons, aside from a couple of people, were not, because they had lives and things like that. You can't push someone to go, hey, drop everything because I've written a new chapter.
Mm-hmm.
But no one was. It was like a fair few days, and I thought it's not going to work. No one's going to look at it, and I kind of thought that was maybe about the end of book 1, and then I thought, no, it's fine. And then luckily, someone pushed it through, and they said, oh no, this is great. And then from there, it kept going. The only time I've ever thought about quitting was technically while I was quit. While I wrote some chapters down and then didn't do anything with them for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
But since going, no, I'm going to do it.
You've done it.
I haven't
You've not
stopped.
quit.
Yeah.
That's amazing. One thing that I believe in life is, especially in business, is say you've got the goal to become a millionaire. I believe that it's more about the journey of who you become on that way to making £1 million than it is the actual £1 million. Because if I just won the lottery today and won £1 million, I wouldn't be able to keep it because I'm not the type of person who can actually make £1 million.
Yes.
So how has writing changed you as a person? What has that journey looked like for you?
I mean, first of all, and I'm still learning this, it's a lot of putting myself out there. It's a lot of saying, hey, I don't want to, and I'm doing it now. I don't want to be a bother, but would you have a look at this? That you need to have that confidence, and I'm still learning to have that confidence to go, I did this. And we're getting there. We're getting there with that now that there's actually a physical book that I have to at a certain point push. So that works. But I think the big one for me was the full thing of just because someone's not right next to you does not mean they do not support you or anything like that. I had been very sort of, I don't want to use, I hesitate to use the word isolated, but I had been very sort of into myself for a very long time. And the number of people reviews and that come out the woodwork. There is a phrase throughout this series, because I've named the gods after roles within a village. So the amen of these, the people in this series, is the words, it takes a village. And initially that was just a cool thing for me to say. This book has proved it takes a village. It's your people. And I've learned a lot more to appreciate my people, I think. For me.
Fair. People are certainly important factors in all aspects of life, especially business or writing a book.
Mm-hmm.
It's especially those close to us.
Yeah.
Most people, I'll say that again. Most people say they don't have time, but you've proven that it's possible to build something big around a 9 to 5. What is your take on people that have that excuse that, I don't have time because I work a job?
If you think of it as an excuse, you've already defeated yourself. First of all, it's not an excuse; it's an obstacle. If you don't have time, you can, and you're passionate about it, you'll find the time. whether it's your hobbies, whether it's a business, whether it is writing, something like that. If you are passionate about it and you want it to happen, you need to make the time. So that's the thing of going, oh, I don't have time. Find it. And you will find it. It's tricky sometimes, and it can be very, very difficult to strike that balance. And sometimes you get very frustrated that either, real life's got in the way and I've not written a chapter in, 2 weeks, or sometimes you realize, oh, I've written about 5 chapters in 5 days, and so I need to go and find some other time. But never let that be a reason to defeat you. If you are truly passionate, you would find the time.
If you were truly passionate, you would find the time.
Yeah.
I love it. So true. What we're going to do now, Drew, is we're going to go on to the quickfire round.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you a series of roughly about 6 or 7 questions.
Mm-hmm.
Short and sweet, and to the point.
Okay.
So one of my previous guests, Morag from, try and say this right, Siamra Photography.
Don't look at me. I'm never going to be able to say it right. I'm never going to be able to say it right.
She told me to ask you, what is your favorite bird?
All right. Morag, who is one of my proofreaders on this, and she's helped a lot. She's fantastic. Has very much set me up wanting that question to be falcon. She wants me to say falcon, A, because of something that's happening within the books where she is, and B, because falcons play a big part in this. Now, if I could pick any bird and I can go mythical, I'm going to say phoenix because it's my favorite mythical creature. But going real world birds, it's barn owl. It's a barn owl. They're cool. They're silent. They look awesome. It's a barn owl. So
Fair.
sorry, Morag, but you didn't get what you wanted.
Well, I think it's not the kind of question I would have asked. No, I normally ask things like, what's your favorite coffee shop? But I mean, what is your favorite coffee shop?
I mean, if I'm going to just pick up a coffee just to keep myself fueled, I'm just swinging by a Costa.
Yeah,
and,
me too. I prefer Costa to Starbucks, to be
yeah,
honest. Yeah,
yeah.
Starbucks is bitter.
It's quite harsh.
Please don't sue me.
Or me. Thank you.
What's your favorite local business to shout out?
So obviously there's my friend Neve, Doodle Me Sane, and doing her tattoo stuff. But more local business. Over in Keith, you have Kelpie Games, run by a fantastic guy called Dylan. It's a game store. It's a friendly local game store, which is the type of thing you go in. He's got tables set out for board games and for like Warhammer and all that sort of stuff. That's your bag for card games. Sells all that stuff, but fantastic little place that if you are very much into the nerd sphere as I am, brilliant little escape. So Kelpie Games in Keith.
Kelpie
Absolutely.
Games in Keith.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll need to check it out. Which character from your book do you relate to the most?
That's so hard to answer, because when you write characters, especially when they've been in your head as long as mine have, there's a bit of yourself in all of them. There's some horrible villains in there, so I've realized quite how badly I've just put myself out there. If I'm picking one, it's James Cobalt. It's the brother of the two siblings at the start. James is just exactly how there's a lot of aspects of me and James. He overthinks a lot. He overthinks so much. And I think that's because I sit there and I think, what happens if this, what happens if that? And then suddenly I'm like, oh, he would think of that. And then I'm realizing suddenly that character is me. Yeah. So probably James.
James. Well, if anyone ever reads the book, they will get to know who you are.
Apparently.
Through James.
And through the others as well.
Oh, yeah.
Don't judge me too harsh on a couple of them. Most of them.
I'm excited to read it.
Thank you.
What's one word to describe writing?
Freeing.
Freeing.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's one thing people completely misunderstand about authors?
I think that the classic thing is that you're sitting there with the well, it's usually the typewriter in the TV shows and films. But there you're sitting there and you're just going, and then you never have a moment where you sort of sit and you go, that doesn't work or anything. There's been moments, I think, where I've gone back, whole chapters have gone, whole characters have changed, characters that were in it have gone, characters that I took out have come back. There are revisions that happen to the whole thing, and I think the misconception is once you start, you know how it's going to end. And I think you do, but the journey in the middle, if you've written your characters well, they write that. And I think that people sometimes figure an author has every plot point of it figured out.
But in reality, they don't.
No. Sometimes plot points have changed when I'm writing the chapter. Because I realized that the characters would react differently to how I had it in my head. And so I've had to go, okay, this is what they would do, and then we'll address what that means.
So sometimes you've had to go all the way back and change other stuff to make it make sense.
Sometimes I've had to go back and go, actually, no, it was this, and things like that.
Surely that can get quite frustrating.
I actually find it, I don't want to use the word thrilling, but I find it very, very interesting. I think part of that is definitely from the fact that I spent years writing Dungeons and Dragons, and Dungeons and Dragons, therefore, is one of these things that you sit down with your friends, you do not know what your friends are going to do, and you don't know how the dice are going to land. And so you are used to coming up with story points on the fly and finding a way to make them fit. And so I can adjust that type of thing to going, oh, wait, if this happened here, then it can't have happened back here. And so it's not as frustrating as I think others definitely would find it frustrating. But for me, I find that quite fun to deal with.
Yeah, makes sense. What's one thing readers can look forward to in the next book, if you're willing to share?
Much more exploration of character relationships, character romances between each others and things like that have been set up in the first, gets a lot deeper explored in the second, as well as very much answers to some questions that the first leaves you with. You get a lot of answers in the second.
Interesting. So, did you end this one on almost like a cliffhanger?
Yeah. I would definitely say it's not your classic, like, someone is immediately about to die cliffhanger, but it is definitely a moment where you go, oh, what is going to happen here? So, yeah, I would say there's a cliffhanger.
Yeah, that's good. It makes people bite and then buy the next one, the next one, the next one.
Yeah.
You just keep it going forever.
It's tricky. You have to strike that balance, and I think the first ends on a cliffhanger. I've rounded the second out a little bit nicer, but there's always that thing that should lead you into the next, hopefully.
Of course.
If I've done this right.
Yeah, for sure. What I'm going to do, I'm going to open up my phone because my previous guest has a question for you, which I have not even seen yet.
Okay.
I have to ask you, no context whatsoever, what does your mum think?
Of this?
Yeah.
Okay, what does my mum think? Okay, I get a lot of very solid feedback from my mum. My mum will squirm at, like, slight violence scenes. And so there are whole moments where she's put the book down because I've done pretty bloody fight scenes and things like that. So she's very, very supportive. And she's brilliant, and she was a huge guiding hand in helping me get to this point. Do I think she wishes I had maybe picked a slightly less graphic style of writing? Yes. Yeah. But massively supportive.
Cool. Mums are great. They are the most supportive beings, 9 times out of 10. They're normally the only individual in this world that actually wants to see you do well.
Oh, my dad's pretty good, but yeah.
I can't relate. I don't know my dad, but yes, for sure.
Well, in my case,
in your case,
but no, my mum is very, very supportive of this.
Yeah. What I'm going to ask you, Drew, not right now, but once we're finished, is just to write down a question for my next guest, similar to that, and I won't look at it until then. I don't even know who it is, so it can be whatever you want.
Okay.
But Drew, it's been great to have you on the show.
Thank you very much.
I think a lot of people listening are going to relate, whether they're writers, business owners, or just people with a project that they've been sitting on. I think they're going to get some form of inspiration or advice from what you've shared here today. If you're listening, try that again. If you're listening and you're from the north of Scotland and you've built something from nothing, big or small, you can apply to be the next guest at nightingweb.com/podcast. And of course, you can check out the Cobalt Chronicles. I've linked it in the description. And as always, if you found this episode helpful at all, please give us a follow and recommend the Start, Build and Grow podcast to your friends to help them too. Because as Drew once said, it's all about word of mouth here in Moray. We'll be back soon with another real story from someone building something that lasts.